My. Welcome to Chat with Madam Whipass and Celebrity Mess. So much has been going on. I've been missing a whole lot. I really have. I just found out that Joh'vonnie Jackson is coming out with a book, or her book came out on Valentine's Day. Um, Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, um, released a book about Whitney and Bobby Christina. And then you have Wendy Williams passing out again on the show and taking a 3-week leave. Did she say she has Graves' disease? Is that what it's called, pertaining to her thyroid issue? Well, let's just start with Wendy. You know what? That might be the case, but I'm sure that health scare and this Graves' disease, if I'm correct, it's aggravated by the stress of her life and her marriage. And I don't know why old girl is putting herself through this. Yeah, that's right. I said, I don't know why Wendy is putting herself through this, because she is allowing whatever is happening to her, she's giving it power to break her down to nothing. And that's exactly what's happening before our very own eyes. And Wendy's a much stronger woman than that. She's just very weak right now. And if I can just offer some words of encouragement and strength, if she should ever get this video, I just hope that the sound of my voice can make her rise up and make the right decisions for her and her only, not for Big Kevin, not for uh, son Kevin, but for Wendy. Wendy needs to make sure she's okay. And I'm not understanding why she's holding on to a marriage and allowing it to stress her out to the point that it might take her out of this world. And that's worth you leaving this world in a month or two or a year and not being able to uh, be around to see your grandchildren from little Kevin, to see him get married, see him finish college or make something out of himself, whatever his goals he has, going on for himself right now. You're going to let Big Kevin rob you of this? Really, Wendy? Really, Wendy? This is what it's come down to, because you are so hooked on the concept, the ideal, the love of your marriage, which ain't there no more. Now, I don't know how long it's been gone, but if it's over, it's over. Let it go. It's not like you'll never be able to date somebody else, Wendy. Maybe it's time for him to move out the way so somebody better can come through. But you'd rather make yourself sick to the point where it just might take you out of this fucking world before your time. This is the choice you're making, Wendy. I know it's painful. I know it hurts. It hurts like hell. But if you got to cry and lock yourself in a room and scream and punch walls, you do what you got to do to get this shit out of your system and pull yourself up by your bootstraps and walk tall and strong and get back on task and on point and continue to raise your son. Enough of this. Stop it now. You done cried and stressed over this a bit too much now. I really think you're overdoing it. Now I'm going to give you some time to cry and sob and weep and be depressed and mope about it just for a little bit longer. 45 days, and that's it, Wendy. In 45 days, you better have grieved the end of this marriage, this relationship, and start getting to know Wendy as a divorced single parent. It's not as bad and scary as you think. Once you accept it and adjust yourself to it and eventually embrace it, you're gonna love it. Every bit of it. And you're gonna look back and say, what the fuck was I doing laying in bed in the dark, even on sunny days, under the covers, sobbing, can't even move, can't even eat? The hell was I doing to myself? You're going to be in awe how you allowed this man to debase you down to a heap of shit in the bed under the covers. And you know what? It's all right for now, but it's time for you to get up out of it now. At least soon. 45 days, Wendy. Get it together. Ain't nobody got time to be turning on your show and watching you pass out and trying to play it off like everything is wonderful in Hunterville. Hunterville is killing you. Move out of that bitch. You got enough money, sell the house, give the house to that fucker. If you got to split $60 million, he get 30, you get 30. It's not a big deal, Wendy. It ain't like you can't make that 30 back. Come on now. Let her have him, whoever she is, or let them have him. Please. Let them do you this favor. Let that bitch do you a favor and take him off of your hands. It ain't that damn serious. I promise you it's not. You can make it, Wendy. You can make it. All right. I just had to get that out of my system because I've just been sitting around and, coming across articles and, gossip about her, trying to sift through what's fact and what's rumors and what's bullshit. And there's always a little bit of truth in a rumor. But Wendy's going through something right now. And I just need her to come out of this funk. I think she's been in it long enough, a little bit too long. But let's come on in and get through. And I'm not really trying to rush you, but I think it's imperative that you complete this grieving process of the death of your marriage before it becomes the death of you. That's all I'm saying. Moving right along, Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I did not talk about the interesting situation that happened where Rhea, who is Rhea? Rhea is Whitney Houston's niece, who is the daughter of Whitney Houston's brother. What was his name? Gerald? What's his name? Gary. And his wife, Patricia. And I guess it was about a month or two ago or so. Was it around the holidays or something? Raya was on Snapchat or Instagram, one of them websites, and she was streaming a conversation that her mother, Pat Houston, was having in the kitchen with somebody talking about Whitney and Bobby Christina. And she made some statements, you know, Gary, which is her husband, Raya's father, he drove his daughter to school every day. And if he didn't drive her to school, I did. She barely took the bus. And how Bobby Christina didn't even finish the seventh grade. You know, Bobby Brown didn't care nothing about Bobby Christina getting an education. None of them did, according to what she said. And people took that as Pat trashing Whitney and um, talking bad about Whitney and Bobby Christina. You know what I have to say about that part right there? Sometimes the truth is ugly and it hurts. No way in hell Bobby Christina should have only made it to the seventh grade. And I'm tired of shit being a certain way and people shouldn't have a right to speak the truth. Truth is the truth. Raya is in college. Education apparently was a very important value to Pat and Gary Houston. Raya is a very poised young lady. She has talents. And you have to lend that to how she was raised by her parents. Raya knows how to play the piano, and I'm sure she does other lovely things and, participated in a lot of extracurricular activities, and she's probably good at a lot of things. And, she's in college, not sure what she's majoring in, but she has goals, and her parents obviously was successful in navigating her through life, and they managed her life well. Now that's the damn truth. Whitney and Bobby did not manage Bobby Christina's life well at all. They couldn't even manage their own damn lives. So to hear Pat making such statements, it's not like she was saying anything wrong. Just because she said the truth and the truth happens to be ugly, that makes her a bad person. That's not what I think makes Pat Houston a bad person. Those statements that she made. That's not it. In my opinion, what makes Pat this wicked, evil person and those surrounding Bobby Christina, especially after Whitney passed. I mean, I don't even know these people. I've only seen them on TV, and I will never forget that show that they did with Oprah 2 weeks after Whitney's funeral. And I sat there and looked at Bobby Christina talking about she accepted her mother's death in 2 weeks at 18 years old. Whitney Houston is a superstar around the world and your mother. And you mean to tell me you have accepted her passing in 2 weeks? As close as you were? No. That child was in pain. And with all the money that was available to her, Nobody sought to get her into grief counseling or anything. They knew how bad she was getting high, and Pat Houston did nothing to curb her negative extracurricular activities, which was drugs. You give her access to thousands of dollars, which is rightfully her money. But you look at, what's that white girl? Britney Spears. When that chick was losing it, her parents went to court and they got a conservatorship or something like that. In other words, they stopped her money. And she was an adult, and they stopped her money until she can get herself together. Her parents did everything that they could to keep that chick from killing herself. But Pat knew it wouldn't be but so long before Bobby Christina would be dead. I knew that. A blind man could see that. And this is your niece. You've been down with Whitney for years, and you knew the insides and the outsides of their family life situation and what they were doing. Pat, you knew within about a good 3 years, which was probably too long, surprisingly, that Bobby Christina would be dead, because I knew it. And you did nothing. When Bobby Christina died, she had $11,000 in her bank account. You're going to give a young junkie like that, the product of Whitney and Bobby, allow her to have that kind of money so she can just get high all she wanted, had her own townhouse, and you just have your druggy friends over and you all just do drugs. You wake up high and get fucked up from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, which might be 3 or 4 days later. And you could give a shit because you knew the stipulations in the will. Should something happen to Bobby Christina, all that money goes back to Sissy Houston and her brothers, and Bobby gets $2 million. You didn't let Bobby Christina have her money because it was her inheritance and because it was the right thing to do. Because allowing Bobby Christina to have her money in her condition was the completely wrong thing to do. You let her have access to her own money so she could kill herself. And then at the after party, once you'll put her in the ground, you're going to throw the child a sweet 16 party. And the child was 22 when she died. You couldn't give her those flowers while she could smell them? Really, Pat? That shit right there is evil. You had 6 years to give that child a sweet 16 birthday party. But you gonna wait till she dead and in the ground and can't even be there. What? Really? Moving on. Let me just pause for a minute or so. I need to release a bit because I just let out some deep heavy shit. I just said some stuff I didn't even plan to say. That shit just flowed. And when I flow like that out the blue and it just comes out like that, you just witnessed the Lord with me cussing and all. Because I only know how to speak the way I know how to tell it. I need to regroup for a minute. Just chill. Be patient. Bear with me. Whew. All right, let's move on to Joh'vonnie Jackson. Who is Joh'vonnie Jackson? You never heard of Joh'vonnie Jackson? Really? Oh, come on. Surely you've heard of Joh'vonnie Jackson. Joh'vonnie Jackson is one of Joe Jackson's daughters that he had with another woman who lived like maybe a couple of miles away from the Jackson compound in Encino, California. And she was born the day after Michael Jackson's 16th birthday. Yes, she was. Like to see her? Well, let's go to her website and see what we can find. Hold on for the screen share. All right. She released a book this past Valentine's Day called Bastard Child. And that's her daddy. You know who he is. And there she goes as a little girl. Joh'vonnie Jackson. And she writes, some life stories are so unique that they demand to be told. But there was a time when Joh'vonnie Jackson wasn't ready to share her truth. As the one child Joseph Jackson fathered out of wedlock. Only one, really? I think Joseph and Jermaine got kids by the same woman. And we know Jermaine and Randy got kids by the same woman. But Joseph and Jermaine be fucking the same chicks. Anyway, let me continue. Joh'vonnie experienced an oftentimes emotionally chaotic, underappreciated, and uncelebrated life compared with those of her world-famous kin, some of whom saw her very existence as a threat to their public image. I don't know why. Fans of her iconic siblings were ever ready to go on the attack, as if she were an enemy of her own family. Really? As she grappled with her father's complicated legacy and forged her own path as a mother, poet, designer, and author, Joh'vonnie came to understand her station in life and sense of value and worth, equal in every way with this larger-than-life family. Bastard Child is a bracingly honest memoir that will, for the first time, bring Joh'vonnie and the honest, complicated, and thoroughly American history of the Jackson family to the world as it has never been known before. You know, I think I might buy this book and read it and do a review. Why not? There she goes. Joh'vonnie. Bastard Child, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. Contact. You can get the book on Amazon. I think it's like $18. You know what? I'll probably reach out and get it. Let's read something more about her. I thought I had something. No. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take off the screen share for a second and come back. And come back. Oh, okay. Here we go. I am not going to show this video. Make sure the screen share is off because I don't want to get jammed up. But it's lots of pictures and but it's a lot of text. So I'm just going to read the text throughout this video. Let me turn the volume down just a little. Here we go. The half-sister of Michael Jackson has revealed how she was shunned by the Jackson family for most of her life and humiliated by the king of pop. In an exclusive interview with Daily Mail TV, Joh'vonnie Jackson, whose mom was a secret lover of Jackson family patriarch Joe, tells of her heartache at being treated like an outsider by the famous family. And revealing details of her new book, Bastard Child, she claims she was mentally tortured by her older brothers and sisters and cruelly snubbed at music concerts and family events. Joh'vonnie, born the day after Michael Jackson's 16th birthday, is the product of a 25-year affair Joe Jackson had with her mom, Cheryl Terrell. She is still close to her father, and to his credit, he tried to integrate her into the Jackson family life. But despite his best efforts, Joh'vonnie, 43 now, has faced years of rejection by those she longed to be near. Michael Jackson's half-sister, Joh'vonnie, 43, has spoken out about she was shunned by the Jackson family for most of her life and humiliated by the king of pop. Joh'vonnie is related to the Jackson clan through her father, Joe Jackson, pictured, who had a 25-year affair. Her famous siblings, Joh'vonnie said she met every one of her half-siblings after Joe revealed to the family that he had another daughter. Pictured above, left to right, Rebe, Randy, Latoya, Michael, Jackie, Marlon, Janet, and Tito Jackson. I was very aware that I was in the Jackson family growing up. I saw them on TV. I listened to their music, she explains. I'm just waiting for this video to progress. But I was hidden away, kept secret for years, not able to become part of that family. It was hurtful. Eventually, Joe Jackson's secret daughter was revealed to the rest of the family, but the Jacksons would not accept her. I have met every single last one of them, but for some reason, there has always been something stopping them from accepting me, from being close to me, explains Joh'vonnie. Of course, when I was around them, there was a show of love, but once I was gone, there was no phone calls asking how I'm doing or how is my daughter doing. It's upsetting, real hurtful, and I still feel rejected. Even when my mother died in 2014, the first person who called me was their mother, Catherine. The only sibling to call was Rebe. She's the only one who really cares. I later said to my brother Jermaine, my mother died. He started stuttering and said, I was going to call. It was a wake-up call. It let me know my position in the family. As far as I'm concerned, they can all kiss my ass. Amazingly, the wedge driven between Joh'vonnie and the rest of the family grew so vast from her childhood that she didn't meet older brother Michael until she was 29. They met in 2003 at Michael's Neverland Ranch, where the entire Jackson clan had converged for a family reunion. But as she stood before her superstar brother, her excitement was snatched away by the singer's cold, emotionless demeanor. Joh'vonnie, born the day after Michael's 16th birthday, is the product of a 25-year affair. Why do they keep repeating this? Joh'vonnie lives in Las Vegas with her 23-year-old daughter, Yasmin. They live just a few miles from Dad, Joe, 88, and sees him at least once a week. It was a real big moment for me, Joh'vonnie recalls, her eyes narrowing. But Michael was looking at me and seemed cold and standoffish. He just said hi, and then he saw my daughter, Yasmin, and he was just fascinated with her, in awe. He said, "Hi, Jasmine." I said, "No, Michael, her name is Yasmin with a Y." I had to correct him. He said, "Okay, Yasmin with a Y." And then that was it. He never acknowledged that I was his sister. There was no hug or kiss, not even a handshake, no physical contact at all. Wow. I wanted to embrace him. I thought that he would want to go someplace quiet and sit and talk with me and ask me about my life and get to know me a little better. It was very hurtful. He wasn't interested at all. Joh'vonnie's heartache was compounded by Michael's continued interest in his then 8-year-old niece. With my daughter, he was totally different. She got hugs and kisses, everything I didn't get. I'm woman enough to admit I was jealous. We met outside by the movie theater. There was a bunch of people there. I never did get a chance to speak to Michael properly. At the time, it was very hurtful. Again, there was this theme that I felt shut out. Joh'vonnie stayed with her cousin at a hotel in Santa Barbara, California that night rather than on a sprawling 2,700-acre ranch. She returned to Neverland the next day with a renewed hope of achieving a breakthrough with her older brother. I didn't see Michael all day. He was in the main house, she said. Yasmin and Paris, Michael's daughter, were off playing for hours, and she was playing with her little cousin. Paris is such a sweet girl. I sat with the rest of the family. Jermaine and Rebe talked with me for a while. None of my other siblings acknowledged me much, though. Michael never did make an effort to speak with her, and Joh'vonnie and Yasmin left without as much as a goodbye. Wow. Joh'vonnie keeps in touch with her half sister Rebe, the eldest of the siblings, who she says is the only one who really cares. Above, they are all pictured with their father. Joh'vonnie met her half sister Janet when she was 15, but she claims the singer never wanted to have a relationship with her. For the single mom, the snub came as a huge blow. What's worse, for years, school bullies had taunted Joh'vonnie because she was Michael Jackson's sister. Yet in reality, he refused to have anything to do with her. I got beat up every single day because I was Joh'vonnie Jackson. Shit, Joh'vonnie, I got my ass whooped because of your brother too. Don't have me go there and tell that story. I had the hardest childhood. It was just as blue as Michael's and just as blue as my other brothers and sisters. And then to grow up and they don't want nothing, they don't want to have anything to do with me. I get so irritated with my parents because I didn't ask to be here. That's right. Jackson insiders claim the rift between the pair was mainly due to Joe's devotion to Joh'vonnie. Michael loathed the fact that Joe favored her over the rest of his siblings. Joh'vonnie and her mother lived just 5 miles from the Jackson home, and Joe would visit most days, lavishing Joh'vonnie with gifts. This was made worse when Michael's parents ended up living separate lives, and Joh'vonnie, then in her early 20s, moved in with Joe in Las Vegas and worked as a baggage handler at the airport. For Michael, it was unsettling and again fueled the rift. In her new book, Bastard Child, she describes being mentally tortured by her older brothers and sisters and cruelly snubbed at music concerts and family events. Joh'vonnie did try to speak with her brother on the phone in 1999. Catherine was at the Vegas house with Joe when Michael called to speak with his mother. As the conversation came to an end, Joh'vonnie jumped up and asked to talk to her brother. I had a road with Joseph and was asking him why was daddy so mean. He told me not to let Joseph upset me, and I said okay, but Michael, that went too fast, excuse me. I said okay, but Michael, don't forget about me, call me. I thought he was being nice, but I never heard from him after that until we met at Neverland. Joh'vonnie has tried to reach out to her other 8 siblings over the years: Janet, Latoya, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, Marlon, Randy, and Reby. But the only one she has really connected with is older sister Reby. Centipede! Reby has been very consistent with guidance and love, she said. You can walk into a home and feel the love. She's so sweet. She and I are very, very close. Oh, that's all you need then, Joh'vonnie. I'm sure Reby got enough love for you for all of them fuckers. Fuck them. Let them kiss your ass, just like you said. My other sisters, not so much. I met Janet when I was 15. I saw her that one time, and it was clear she never wanted to have a relationship with me. I could never really understand why. Because she's devoted to mother. She was staring at me and checking me out, and as soon as she heard me call Joseph daddy, she switched off, turned her back, and never spoke to me again. Joh'vonnie was proud of her famous big sister and recalls going to dozens of Janet and Michael's concerts. Through daddy, I would get tickets to all the concerts, she said. I was amazed at Michael's talent. I remember thinking as a little girl, he looked at me, he saw me. I would sometimes go see them backstage, but I could never get to talk to them. You couldn't get close. It was frustrating. I also didn't have any access to phone numbers. I didn't want to go through my father's things, and it wasn't really something that was talked about. Over the years, Joh'vonnie has had various encounters with some of the other siblings. Katherine Jackson, who has been married to Joe since 1949, knew of his affair, which began in the early 1970s, but her devotion to the Jehovah's Witness faith led her to forgive him and accept Joh'vonnie's family insiders claim that the rift between Joh'vonnie and Michael stemmed from his resentment that Joe favored her out of the rest of the siblings. She says she always looked up to Tito most, but even he made little effort with her. Joh'vonnie said of the family rift, "It is what it is. I love my brothers and sisters no matter what they do. What is said about them, how they act, whatever, it's unconditional for me. The door is always open and my phone is always there. They can always call me if they need me for something. I don't think they're going to need you for anything, honey. Not if you was working a baggage claim at the airport. But I don't feel that that is extended for me. I feel rejected by some of the family. Unusually, Joh'vonnie is no stranger to the Jackson family home in Encino, having been there with Joe several times. I'm looking at a picture of Joe Jackson with Joh'vonnie, and she's probably about 12 or 13. But Joseph looks just like Jackie, or Jackie looks just like, no, Joseph looks just like, it looks like I'm looking at Jackie Jackson, but it's Joseph. She's also a surprisingly friendly, wait, she's also on surprisingly friendly terms with Jackson matriarch Catherine, and even calls her mother like her siblings. Oh, wow. Catherine knew of Joe's affair, which began in the 1970s. I don't know why they keep repeating the same information. But for her siblings, basically it says she was aware of their affair since the 1970s, and her faith as a Jehovah Witness led her to forgive Joseph and accept Joh'vonnie. Okay. But for her siblings, acceptance didn't come so easy. I would be shopping in an apartment store and would see Latoya, but I couldn't talk with her because I didn't feel she wanted to talk to me. I didn't ask it to be like this. I didn't ask for all this trouble. I didn't ask to be treated this way. In Latoya's book, Growing Up in the Jackson Family, the singer wrote that her mother, Catherine, had referred to Joh'vonnie as a bastard child. Now, the title of Joh'vonnie's own book. The bastard child grew up and wrote a book entitled it Bastard Child. Wow. She explained that that's just how Latoya is. She just likes to create drama. She was setting me up for failure. She wanted ultimately for me not to like her mother and for there to be issues. Really? That's how Latoya is? I always thought Latoya is a dingbat. Michael did it, and I will not stand here and be a silent collaborator to his crimes. I have seen checks for thousands of dollars written out to parents of little boys that he would fly in from other countries and they would be up in that room with him with the door closed, sometimes as long as 2 weeks. I guess you're right, Joh'vonnie. She do like to create issues and drama, right? I hung on to that, and then I met Catherine, and I couldn't even see her saying anything like that about me. She was really nice to me. I think she was very hurt at the time of the affair, and that's totally understandable. Yes. No woman likes for her husband to go cheating on her and produce a child. It was probably heartbreaking. Yes, it was. But she had come out of that. She let me live in her home, me and my daughter. We didn't have to pay any rent. I worked to support my daughter, and I took care of her home when she was not there. We have cooked together with and have had good conversations. For Joh'vonnie, she wishes the rest of the family could take a leaf out of their mother's book. One other than Rebe and Tito, she doesn't feel comfortable in any of her other siblings' presence. Um, all right. Joh'vonnie works in the timeshare industry and lives in Las Vegas with a 23-year-old daughter, Yasmin, who is studying to be a nurse. She lives just a few miles from Dad Joe, 88, and sees him at least once a week. In recent years, she has made a staggering weight loss transformation, having dropped from 320 pounds to 180 pounds, and is back to her best. Her one big regret, though, is that she was never able to form a meaningful relationship with Big Brother Michael Jackson before he died of acute drug intoxication on June 25th, 2009. I mourn a relationship that never began. That's what I'm sad about, she says, because there's a great possibility that I could have made a difference. I'm outspoken. No, you're not doing this today, Michael. You know what? I wish you would have saw Michael go to sleep with a gas mask on, taking some damn propofol and hooked up to gas tanks in his bedroom with a big jar of his piss in a milk container. And you talk about, no, you're not doing this today. He definitely would have kicked your ass to the curb forever, and you would have never even been able to smell him again. You would have to know your place. And your place would be, yes, Michael. That's it. You watching Michael kill himself. Your role was to, like everybody else, yes, Michael. You got it twisted, girlfriend. I could have made a difference and stopped some of the things he was doing to himself. It's sad, and I'm not going to continue to beat myself up about it because that wasn't my doing. These are decisions that he made. Joh'vonnie writes of her journey as an outsider to the Jackson family in her new book, Bastard Child, which hits the shelves today. I wanted to be able to write a book because I wanted to tell my side of the story and what happened with my life, she explains. So many people have these assumptions about what was going on with me. I'm so misunderstood. Everybody's saying I just want to be famous and all these other things, which are absolutely not true. The rest of the family gets to tell their side on everything. Why shouldn't I have the right to tell what my life has been like and be honest and authentic about it? Joh'vonnie's book, Bastard Child, is available on Amazon. Wasn't that interesting? Well, all right. Enough is enough. I am done. Thank you for tuning in. Miss you much. Peace.